Hello everyone, so you may have seen a video that I've just uploaded on the subject of these figures um, painted by Pirate Rich Paints um, and purchased at the Legionary 2025 Wargame show. So I'm now doing a separate video on the Legionary show, but these are going to feature at the start of that video as my principal purchase, but I'm not going to talk a great deal more about them because I've already discussed them and how wonderful they are in an earlier video, so I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. So yeah, the Legionary show, other than these figures, the only wargaming related purchase that I made was some bog standard static grass, which I am running out of. So the figures were my principal purchase, so I'll just leave them there in front of the camera while I just chat a little bit about Legionary. Great show as ever. Not quite so big an event, I don't think, as last year. Very sadly, back, I think it was just before Christmas, Brett Andrews passed away. He was playing in a five-a-side football match and collapsed. And he was the main kind of motor both behind the Exmouth Imperial club and the wargame show, so it was a little bit subdued or it took a while for them to settle again and to organise the show. So it was promoted quite late in the day, and in fact the website didn't really have any mention of it at all until about a week and a half before the show, and the principal way that they promoted it was on Facebook, which is not, I know it's a popular platform, but it's not ideal, especially if you don't belong to a Facebook and don't want to belong to it, which is my case, but I know there's lots of other people feel the same way about Facebook as I do, and it isn't laid out in a way that you really want to go to a website, something like the way Salute have a website for their show. So I think that was the main reason why it seemed a little bit more subdued than it did last year. The plus things about the show, though, are there's now a railway station at a stop called Marsh Barton, just outside of Exeter, which is about a sort of 10-15 minute walk from the Matford Centre where they hold the show. So for people who don't drive, that is ideal, and again that applies to me, so that's something that I've benefited from in the last couple of years, something that everybody who goes to the Matford Centre benefits from, and lots of people remark on it, and it is one of the highlights of the show in a way, is that the catering facilities are uncomparable. They're just so much better than any other wargame show in the country, possibly in the world. The reason for that is that the Matford Centre is primarily a stock centre. It's where cattle are brought and traded and so on. So there's a lot of very hungry farmers and drivers and cattlemen and so on who are there, and so the meat produce and everything that you get in in the cafeteria. Too bad if you're vegetarian, but the breakfasts are just incredible. So that is my first stop. I pay my entrance fee, and I go through the entrance, turn right, straight into the canteen, sit down, have a big hearty breakfast and a cup of tea before I even get going looking around the show. And so many people comment on the catering there, and it puts every other wargame show in the country to shame. Most wargame shows that you go to, the catering is limited, seating is limited, and you pay a lot of money for a very rushed, sort of bite of a pasty or a sandwich and a cup of coffee or something like that. Matford Centre do proper breakfasts at very reasonable prices. So although that's not wargaming related, it's definitely wargame show related, and can't praise their breakfast highly enough. Traders also, they get better quality traders than we do in Plymouth. That's because they're a little bit closer to the centre of the country than we are in Plymouth, I suppose. And Plymouth has their show at a very odd time of year, back in February, when not many people want to venture down to the southwest in the cold and wet. So the traders are pretty good. I just didn't have anything, on my shopping list to buy, this year. I've just got everything I need, really. I've got more than I need, because it's going to take me the rest of my life to paint what I've got. So wasn't really in the market for anything. There were certain little bits of scenery that I was thinking, oh yeah, if I see something like that, I'll pick it up, but there wasn't anything like that. The games, again, I thought the games were good, probably not quite as good as last year, and probably for the same reason that they were very late in sending invites out and so on. So there were a couple of people missing from this year's show who you would normally expect, and this is in terms of putting games on, that you would normally expect to see there. I won't mention who they were, because that may not be the reason why they didn't put a table on this year. But there was definitely a slight sort of diminution in the sort of size and quality of the games this year, I thought. But that's not to say that they weren't very good. So I think I have said everything I want to about the show now. So what I'm going to do now is just show you all the footage I took of the games. I'm not. You're going to have all the background noise of the show. I'm not going to give you any commentary as to what you're looking at. I think if you're a seasoned wargamer, then you will identify immediately what the games are, what the rules that are being played are, and if you're not, then there's not really a lot of point in me trying to educate you in that respect. My favourite game, I think I would say, was it was sort of fantasy samurai game, which was big table, full of figures, very sort of colourful scenery, nice to look at. It would have been nice to look at had it just been a historical samurai game. So the sort of what's the word? Almost misanthropic element in my nature coming out here. That I don't enjoy fantasy as much or at all, in comparison to historical war games. But it had enough of a historical flavour for me to enjoy it, and the scenery was easily transferable, and it was really lovely scenery and nicely painted figures, and lots of them. Just unfortunately, there were quite a lot of ghost armies and ogres and what have you on the opposite side. But yeah, to each his own. It was that. So that was my favourite, and second would probably be JJ's game. It's from the Devon. Forget what they're called now. Sort of, it might be the Exeter Wargames Club or the Devon Wargames Club. But he's got a massive collection of Age of Sail warships. They're all the sort of black sails scale, and he often puts on Trafalgar, and that's what he was doing at this show. So that gets a sort of a nod as well. That's probably my second favourite. And it's not to say all the other games weren't good, but I'll leave you to decide on your own preference and what the actual games were. So when you've seen this, the video will just end. So I'll say at this point, thank you very much for watching. See you on the next video. And if you haven't watched it already, check out that video that I've just made on Pirate Rich Paints. Bye for now.
I'm going to... Oh, we've done those, haven't we?
Yeah, you ran.
Yeah, done those.
Done those.
No, they didn't do anything.
Don't do anything.
Like your attitude.
Yes, we can move them. So do we get... Is it 6 inches, or do we get a loss for having the...
No.
The only loss is on your activation. You need a 7 to activate it.
So, to about there.
Get a 6, so you can get up to there if you want.
The turns speed up as units get down and lost.
Okay, I beat you. Did no damage. Shoot shit.
Reveal the cat. Right, so that's all that. So it's now your move. So you've got a couple choices.
Can I fire?
Well, it depends who you've moved to.
If I move my middle unit out, these boys can move to there and fire.
No, not the
Aquilus, no?
What unit are you moving? These. Okay, you can move this one.
If I pull these up, will they count as support?
Yes. Well, your choice of cover, you've got charge.
So they might say, but it won't be because of that.
Yeah, it is.
I've not seen this kind of thing before.
Assuming those are the ones with the plates, right?
Well, I've seen these ones, as large models. Yeah, these are good. Plastic.
You're there.
Yeah, you're out.
Nearest guy would be...
Now the first one hasn't.
Okay, so I could try a command at +2 because if the first someone's in for it, and I'm going to shoot with
firing finish down here? It doesn't automatically escalate from light.
Well, we went on like 10 minutes. Oh, we are.
Okay. Yeah, but it's getting you across. I mean, your options there, Steve, are basically speeding up and slowing down.
Black Whale basically follows the Bruiser, but so kind of nerdy, basically. Trench Pilgrims or like literally that, like Christian followers, that kind of stuff. So Antioch are basically Christian soldiers, heretics.
I'm going to have to stay in melee because there's no point doing it.
Because I've seen like lots of that boards, which is like lots of traditional class. And that's cool. Yeah, it looks really nice. I just wanted something that was feasible on the other side of things.
Are we finished?
No, it's your go.
Okay. Cheers, Martin.
Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. We can see the door, so we can. Everything on the Allied side is now alert and working. Oh, those only birds, by the way, are open. They don't block the place.
A lot of good prices this year. Over. Five reserve as well. Perfect. I'll have that one. You have that one.
Swap. Yeah.
Hang on, what do we do there?
Yeah, I will sort out the rabble. We need more boards. More boards. That's
These are all printed as well. Because my original plan was to keep using them, replace them with these, add to them with these.
Oh, you went for the 14. Yeah, no, okay. Can I grab a card?
Yeah, well, no.
Let's have a picture of break. No, 3. 2? No, they're both on 3. Yeah, he's on.